100% emocji. Made in Małopolska.
Hi everyone, welcome at Digital Dragons business meetup and panel discussion, building and running prosperous gaming business. We will talk today about the major challenges you can face at early stages, how companies transform over time, and who knows, maybe we're gonna identify key ingredients to succeed in gaming business. My name is Piotr Gamracy. I'm Vice Director at Kraków Technology Park and also General Manager at Vivid Games. And I have this privilege to host the discussion today with my guests who lead extremely successful companies. So let's meet them. Gentlemen, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So maybe I'll start.
Yeah.
And I'll take the honor as everyone else was quiet. So hello everyone. My name is Anton Gauffin. I'm the founder and CEO of Huuuge Games. I'm a startup guy. I love gaming. Actually, I learned English by playing computer games when I was a kid. So games have really had a profound impact on my life. I've been doing mobile games since early 2000, and recently we did Huuuge IPO. Really happy to be here today.
Thank you, Anton. Sebastian, would you take next?
Sure. I'm Sebastian Bojowski, CEO of People Can Fly, the studio behind Bulletstorm, Usable Judgment, Painkiller, and most recently, Outriders. We are known for shooters, but also action games that are blending with RPG elements. And we actually also went public quite recently. So together with Huuuge, we are kind of newcomers to the Warsaw Stock Exchange.
Thank you, Sebastian. And Mihai?
Hi, everyone. My name is Mihai Pohoncu. I'm the CEO of Amber. Amber is a game development agency headquartered in Bucharest, Romania, with offices in 5 different countries around the world. I'm presently in San Francisco. That's where I'm based. And it's an honor to be in this august forum with 2 other legendary CEOs of public companies. I have to say, my life is a lot easier and beautiful because I'm a private company, at least for the time being, and look forward to this discussion. Cheers.
Cool. Thank you very much, Mihai. So today we're going to talk a bit about successful gaming business. When I was thinking about this panel discussion, actually I found very interesting fact in the report, The Game Industry of Poland. So I'm going to read it loudly just to start discussion. Over 120 game studios have closed down comparing 2020 to 2017. At the same time, over 160 new ones have been established. So apparently everyone wants to make games. Many of them have tried, but only few succeeded. So building successful gaming business, is it matter of luck, or maybe there are other key ingredients there? And I would like to start this discussion maybe from Anton, because you are in mobile free-to-play market, and we used to say that it's kind of hit-driven industry. So what is your take on this subject?
Yeah, it's a good question. So gaming and mobile free-to-play gaming, it's certainly a highly competitive space. I think the development tools and capabilities to develop mobile games have evolved a lot since I started. So there's a lot of people who are passionate about building games, and yet it is very hard to kind of build a successful gaming business. I don't think it's luck. I think timing is important. So if you like, to associate luck with timing, but usually it's it's a lot of hard work. And in order to succeed in gaming, I think you need to be quite resilient. So as there's so much competition, and in order to be successful, you usually need to accept that there's some failures as well. Very rarely I've seen anyone to, succeed in the first shot. So quite few of us, we've probably all of us, I would expect we've seen both failures and successes. And at least in my case, it took many years, a lot of grinding, a lot of hard work. And yeah, I certainly don't think it's luck, but it is very helpful if you have a good timing and a bit of a luck helping you as well.
Thank you, Anton. How does it work on PC and console market? Sebastian, would you share your thoughts?
Sure. So from my standpoint, the most important element, if you can call it this way, is people. So I would say, people can fly. So people are the most important for any business really. But in this business in particular, I would actually say luck. I think that luck is super important, and we were lucky down the road on multiple occasions. But luck is not the only element, right? There has to be two other things, in my opinion, associated and helping luck, which is hard work. You need to work extremely hard to achieve goals, and persistence. So persistence, you cannot give up. And I would say if you work hard and there is persistence, I think luck will also find you. And those elements, I think, will contribute to the very successful company.
Thank you, Sebastian. So work hard, play hard. Okay.
Yeah.
And Mihai, I think that you're going to have very interesting insight, because you don't produce games for yourself. At least I don't know about that. So how are you going to answer this question?
Persistence, tenacity, perseverance in face of adversity, resilience, those are all words that I would have not associated with entrepreneurship when I first started in this industry, and when we first started the company. But we've had good years and bad years. If there's one thing that I learned, is that indeed hard work creates a sort of a framework, and within that framework, yes, you can get lucky, but it's it's the thing that puts you over the top somehow from time to time, and you cannot rely on it. Luck happens, but you need to build a business that would endure even if luck doesn't happen, and that's the important thing to remember here. Luck can be an accelerator, but the rest of it is, like Anton said, grinding, the hard work that you put in every day. Amber is an agency primarily, so most of what we do is work for other publishers or for other studios. We have been able to build an outsized success without commercial hits from games that we built ourselves. That being said, we did build our own games. We've achieved some critical success with them. Our game Link Twin, which is a minimalistic puzzle game, received a silver award at Pocket Gamer Connects in London. We've recently self-published a first-person shooter roguelite game called Positron X, which we're really proud of. It was our first game in Unreal, and first PC game that we published. So we're definitely engaging in that type of work, but it usually has an ulterior motive. I mean, of course, we would like to build commercially successful games, but we also try to showcase our skills to the industry, so that before anyone that could dare to hire Amber as an Unreal developer, we wanted to show them that we can build our own games in that engine. So that's part of our general strategy. Now, coming back to your original question, I'm more of a 99% work, 1% luck and inspiration. So I do think that any entrepreneur that gets started on this journey must be prepared for a huge dose of humble pie. You may think you're the smartest person in the room. Maybe you are, and that's not enough.
Yeah, thanks, Mihai. So we're gonna like touch a bit like this challenges and failures right now, because every company goes through various stages. So of course now you're like kind of like mature one, but it wasn't the case, always. So I just want to can you like think about early days of your company and challenges you have encountered there? And do you remember like any key decision points or events which were like, I would say, turning points for you or for your company? And this time I would like to actually start from Sebastian, because the story behind People Can Fly and Epic Games is amazing. So if you could like share some shed some lights here, Sebastian, would be nice.
Sure. Yeah, I think that from our perspective and kind of new chapter for People Can Fly, definitely the first kind of key decision point was to actually go independent. So to make an offer to Epic leadership to buy the company from them. So the MBO was the first one. Definitely super challenging because, as you can imagine, buying the studio from Epic was not easy. It was immediately we had a scale of working on great games, but at the same time, with this scale comes other challenges, especially monetary challenges. So that was like kind of a first key decision. I think another really important thing on our way was to sign a contract with Square Enix for a game that is currently known as Outriders, and that was something that really shaped the company going forward. We made some kind of bold moves to take over a team in Rzeszów from CI Games when they decided to shut down the branch, and then also to kind of take over the team in New York. That was another quite bold move for us to go into America and to get the team that was super talented. But we also know that in America, things cost much more than in Europe. And at the same time, though, you've got access to talent that is incomparable anywhere else. So another move that shaped our future, or I would say our present. And of course, then last year when we did a couple of really important things for us, we signed new contracts for new games. So we are talking about new game and the project called name Gemini with Square Enix and the project called name Dagger with Take-Two Interactive. And then at the end of the year, we were able to conclude the IPO process and got our shares listed. So I would say those were the key elements of our kind of story since, I would say, middle of 2015 till last year.
Thanks, Sebastian. That's actually an amazing story. I really like listening to about People Can Fly in the story. Mihai, you mentioned that the life wasn't bright all the time with Amber. So how does it look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting that, in a sense, the toughest year that we've had as a company also made the company as it exists today. So, back in 2017, we launched the first free-to-play game that we have created with a complex backend. It was a real-time multiplayer game with 3D graphics. It was orders of complexity more difficult, more featureful game that we have built in the past. In the past, we had built several puzzle games for partners, and we were considered a puzzle game specialist. And that is something that we were trying to get away from because it was, very restricting. We only had access to a very small number of opportunities, in other words. What happened with us is that in the process of building that game, the budget that we initially estimated was actually 3x what essentially ended up costing, and it was a really tough challenge to overcome. I remember in 2017 we actually lost quite a bit of money. It was the first time in the history of the company this happened, but we were able to ship that game. And it proved to the industry that we have the capabilities to handle free-to-play titles. And it effectively generated a lot of incoming opportunities for us as a company. Whereas in 2017 we were 200 people, we're more than 700 today, right? So it was worth it. But for a moment there, we were very close to killing that game because it proved to be so expensive. We made so many mistakes building it. We were actually learning how to handle a complex backend while we were building the game. And I think we stacked so many risks on that title that we kind of learned the hard way. So it's good sometimes to push at the fabric of reality, and if you make it through, then obviously there's a outsized opportunity on the other end of this. So that's why I go back to the theme of resilience. How important it is to be persistent in the face of adversity. That even if you encounter challenges, if you're sure that that's the correct strategy for the company, you find a way to push through, and that basically begets success.
Thanks, Mihai. That's an amazing story. What about you, Anton? Have you been always huge, or?
Yeah. So how much time we have? So in my case, we have to go back to the start. So I start my first mobile gaming company in 2002. I sell it in 2007. I buy it back 7 years later on in 2014, and that's the starting point of Huuuge Games. And so there would be quite a lot to kind of cover before we would get to the point of starting Huuuge Games. And for me, people often ask that, why did I buy the company back? And it was a lot about the team. So I felt that there was so much talent, and that we had the skills to do what we've done, and we wanted to show the world. And but it required a kind of a massive effort. I had to invest all the money I had and even more. So I made a kind of a very large financial bet on the company. My wife said that you are absolutely crazy, that don't do it. And I said that I'm not the man I want to be if I'm not doing it. And I did it. When we did it in the very early days of Huuuge Games, we didn't have pretty much any money. So we had to kind of focus on bringing revenue and fast. So, and I think those early days when we didn't really have much funding at all, it made us humble. So we were really, humble and hungry in that situation, and kind of said to ourselves that now we need to fight. And when we were able to get the whole team to focus on same direction, then the magic started to happen, and suddenly revenue started coming in, and we were able to start investing what is nowadays called Huuuge Casino. And it wasn't easy, because we were doing these much more smaller, simpler, first generation social casino games, and they were doing so well that we were always taking our resources off from Huuuge Casino, and we were kind of victims of our own success. Then at some point we realized that unless we put all in and really, focus on Huuuge Casino, it will be never finished, because it became a kind of a moving goalpost. When we then made that decision, the company almost ran out of capital, and it was a really close call. So we've seen these things in the past few times where we've been really close to the edge, and when you've seen tough times, I think it really helps the team to come together. If you overcome such challenges that you are almost dead, or I say that I've been a few times dead already, so you are not then kind of panicking too easily when more problems appear. And running a business, especially doing a gaming business, it ain't always that easy. There's a lot of competition on the market, and there's a lot of competition for the talented people as well. And you need to be you need to kind of be very resilient, as we've discussed here. And another thing is that the industry is really fast-paced, so it keeps evolving, and you need to have an open mind and continue learning new things. So yeah, that's maybe a bit about our past and the challenges we've overcome.
So I need to ask these questions to all of you. Have you ever had a thought to give up, and it's like, okay, it's not for me, it's too much, let's forget about the whole thing, and maybe move to a completely different industry? Or
never
Okay.
No, I think we all have had those difficult moments when you are maybe questioning yourself, but at least I think I've really found myself from gaming, and I have never had bigger hesitations that is this the right thing for me. But those difficult moments are really hard and kind of mentally hard for the founders and CEOs. So I would be surprised if others would not have asked those questions.
I have this feeling that Sebastian would love to share something, because I think that you mentioned in one of the interviews that you are not necessarily a gamer and you came to this industry from completely different sector, let's say.
Yeah, sure. I was not kind of a gamer for years, but yeah, I did. I like strategy games, and that's something that I really played long hours. But I think that, yeah, I would agree that maybe this is not like you would like to leave it and move somewhere else. But yeah, there are always, maybe not nowadays, but at the very beginning, there were situations, very tough situations that you had to deal with. And as I agree that, as a CEO, it is always hard because it's not only about you, it's also about the companies. And the most important is about people that actually kind of believe in you and believe in your vision. And suddenly you need to kind of go together with them, and you are responsible for them. You're responsible for their families. So this is kind of putting another layer of weight, and yeah. So, but yeah, you need to be persistent and try to overcome those challenges. And we were successful. That's great. Not everybody's successful, and it's not no one's fault, and it's not something that should make those people stop. I think that even if you not succeed one time, perhaps another one will be the one that you will be able to succeed. So just try and be persistent.
Thanks. Mihai, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I mean, I've never had a hesitation about being in the game space. Actually, I started my career in games at 18. My very first job was a QA tester at Activision in Santa Monica. I was lucky enough to test Quake 3 and medieval Total War and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. So I was hooked for life. I loved it. I loved the medium. I loved the people. This was the industry for me. I never imagined doing anything else. As an entrepreneur, you do have some dark days. You have some amazing days where you think you're a genius, and you have some dark days where you think you're an idiot. and the thing that matters, though, is that you cannot conceive of anything else, and you stay focused. And I definitely relate to Anton's story about if you're able to overcome challenges as a team, right? Making games is a team sport. It's funny. You interview us, and we are the symbols of our companies, but we are actually just a component of a larger team. And we may be major shareholders in our companies, we may be CEOs, but really it's about what the group does. And if the group can survive those tough times, it is so empowering to everyone. Then you feel you can really take over the world, and you can, match your wits with the best of the competition around you, which is, by the way, fierce. It's one of these incredible things about the game space, that it has such creative destruction, and within lies opportunity, right? You have all these amazing companies that might not make it for reasons outside of their controls, but that in turn creates opportunities for other companies like Huuuge or People Can Fly that can aggregate this talent and take it to the next level. So I find the industry is a very exciting place, a place to innovate constantly, a place where what you've done last year basically doesn't matter anymore. And to people like us, clearly that is extremely exciting, and makes us happy to come to work every day.
Thanks, Mihai. Like you all highlighted very often people, team, that's crucial, that's very important. Of course, you are not able to run company without employees, but it's something more than just employees. So I would like to understand maybe how you think about building your leadership team, how you think about building culture within that company, and because things like that probably are not the first thing you think when you're starting your business. Like small group of people, you try to push the product to the market, and you don't think about such a thing. But then company grows and things changes a lot. So maybe let's start from Mihai, because you mentioned a couple of times about the culture, building the team and leadership. I just would like to understand what is your approach to this subject in terms of the Amber.
For Amber, culture was definitely a journey. So, from inception, I thought, okay, we need some mission, vision, values. So I sat down and wrote them and put them on the website, wrote a nice article about it. And then I'm boom, we're done with culture. I mean, this is another thing about being an entrepreneur. Man, you learn so much, including about topics that you think that you have firmly under control. So, what I learned in time is that doing that is certainly not enough. Culture is something that exists in your company, whether or not you want it to, it's just what happens day after day. Once we had that realization as a collective, as an executive team, then we said, okay, we need to get smarter about this. So we started with reading. We read some really incredible books that I would recommend to anyone. Creativity Inc. by Ed Catmull, which is the story of Pixar and how Pixar as a creative organization is organized. We read things like The Toyota Way to Lean Leadership, which basically gives you an in-depth perspective of how Toyota structures its company, this concept of lean manufacturing, which at first glance does not apply to the game space, but it's so rich in ideas that you can mine. And then, Lencioni's The Advantage and 5 Dysfunctions of the Team, the No Rules by Reed Hastings, of the story of Netflix and how they organized the company. And once we had a good body of knowledge, basically the executive team was in a book club at that point, and we're kind of debating these ideas. And I have to tell you, it wasn't easy to kind of find a common denominator, because as you're diving deeper into what motivates us and how we see the future of the company, you find all sorts of points that are not aligned. So it was quite a journey for us. At some point, we emerged on the other end, meaning that we had mission, vision, strategy, and objectives that were fully aligned across the executive team. And then we started disseminating that to staff. We organized these groups, these culture meetups of about up to 10 people across our entire organization. So imagine running this with like 600, 700 people, right? There were like all these culture meetings happening across the company. And effectively what we were telling our staff is that we're trying to teach you the values, the ideology of Amber, so that you can help us build the policies and the structures and the processes that will make us a better organization. You know, it was really reimagining our future from the bottoms up. And it's still ongoing. This process runs for years, and I don't think it will ever change. But it is a journey that I feel for the first time in the history of our company, we're actually making together at all levels of the organization. So I would, love to talk more about this, but literally it'll take me hours. It's a very rich subject. I hope you got a sense of what we're trying to do at Amber.
What about you, Anton? Because you're living in Scandinavian region, and they're crazy about agile. I know that. I've lived for a while in Stockholm.
Yeah, I'd say that in our case, when we started Huuuge, so after I had sold my first mobile gaming company, Game Lion, I had pleasure of moving to Silicon Valley. So I lived a few years in Silicon Valley studying the best-in-class Silicon Valley companies, and I realized that the Silicon Valley way of approaching ownership and equity, giving ESOP to people, was what I considered was their kind of one of the key success elements. And that was quite different what I had learned earlier in Europe. So then later on, when I had the chance to put the band back together and start Huuuge Games, I really wanted to build a true Silicon Valley inspired company. And from the start, we started giving equity and ESOP to our people, because we felt that the concept of ownership is so strong that if people are feeling this ownership, we will see that in the results. And I think gaming industry is often said to be kind of a passion driven industry. So, and I think ownership equals to more passion. So that's how we started. And from a kind of a culture value point of view, what Mihai said, we also looked into the kind of a legendary Netflix culture and these inspiring examples, and kind of picked up our key values in the beginning. But similar to what Mihai said, you are never done with the culture, so it keeps evolving. And also what comes to kind of a team dynamics, when you grow, I think you need to have this constant change mindset, because if you want to be really truly fast growing company, many things need to change, and kind of change is constant, and that change doesn't always come easy to us humans. And at least on our side, there's been so much change, thinking of the years from 2014 to where we are right now, moving from some 30 people to plus 600 people, what we are nowadays. And yet the core cultural concepts are exactly the same, and we are still worshipping the concept of ownership.
Thank you, Anton. What is actually interesting for me here, because when we talk about people and the team and so on, we always this is what I believe. That's my impression. We always have people product managers, game designers, engineers, and so on and so on. And actually, Sebastian, you inspired me a bit, because we never actually talk about back office and all of the supporting roles who make this business actually work as smoothly as possible. So why is like why this entire industry is like actually operate that way?
Operate that way, meaning that we don't talk about back office?
Yeah, or actually we think that's maybe not, because maybe we don't talk about that, maybe we think that it's not so important, like maybe it's not so key.
Yeah, I think people are undermining, especially if they are developers. They think that this is the key, right, for the success of the company, which is, by the way, it's true, right? This is business, right? This is the real business, but this business would not be possible without the framework, and the framework is the back office, is everything that people from finance, legal, accounting, office, and PR and HR are basically adding to the equation. So without very and IT, and so without this framework, neither of our companies would work. So I would say that if we don't talk about it, that means that everything works very, very well, and they are doing their job fantastic. So yeah, I would say this is why we are not talking about back office, but it's absolutely super important.
So now I would like to jump to the subject of scaling the business, scaling the team, expand the business. Actually, you all decided to open new offices in different regions, acquire some teams, and so on. And I think that when you think about that, then you think about back office there, because then it's quite important. But I would like to actually understand, how do you think about this process of acquisitions? How do you think about picking the right team from different various perspectives? It's about the competences, about being able to deliver it, but also about the culture and fitting to your existent culture. So we can start from who actually from you acquired recently some team. I believe Sebastian, it's you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we actually, yes, we did, right? Just a week ago, we took over Phosphor Games team in Chicago, and we also bought Game On, so Creative, the company in Montreal, Canada. I think that first off, of course, without without the backbone of the company, so back office, that a lot of those stuffs wouldn't be possible, especially when we are kind of merging organizations quickly. But in terms of the culture and in terms of how we work, the most important thing is that we cannot basically change everything overnight, right? The process has to be smooth, but at the same time, we need to appreciate the fact that people work a bit differently in different parts of worlds and of work. We had this kind of experience with Epic when we were not HQ, we were a subsidiary, and we felt like things are going a bit differently there, and the culture is different. They were trying to impose things on us that we were like, that doesn't work well in Central and Eastern Europe, and I think that we realized this in the opposite way, that we cannot impose exactly the same things everywhere because people are working differently, and we are different basically. So I think that it has to be a process. We need to appreciate the differences and take it as our advantages, like when we grow the organizations, rather than say that everything has to look exactly the same as it looks in for example, Poland. And another thing that we learned from working with Epic is that we cannot think that HQ always knows better. So this is also how we kind of embrace it with the new teams. We say, guys, we were in your shoes before, so we are trying to learn from those mistakes.
Thank you, Sebastian. Mihai, would you like to share your thoughts?
Yeah, unlike Huuuge or People Can Fly, we're not capitalized to acquire companies currently, but we did merge in with 3 other studios in the history of Amber. We merged with a Romanian studio called Lorraine that specializes in mobile mid-core games. We merged with a PC and console development group called Scorpius, also in Romania. And then we merged finally with a mobile casual team in Mexico called Cara Oculta, which formed the genesis of our Amber Mexico presence, which is quite large. We have 140 people in Guadalajara currently. And I have to tell you that, we're just getting started. I think it is absolutely critical for our, future growth to continue to scale in this manner. And we're looking at plenty of other locations. We have quite a bit of a pipeline and not enough capital to support it, but that's something that is a solvable issue. Our experience has been somewhat similar to what Seb has mentioned. No, we don't know everything at the HQ, and we're not even trying to pretend that our HQ is centralized, because frankly, we have executives all over the world, and we've had this dynamic from inception, which is one of the things that made Amber special. The fact that from inception, we are a global company. And furthermore, a large part of the executive team used to be part of Electronic Arts at some time in the past. So I can relate to what Seb was mentioning. We were in Romania, running EA Romania at some point in the past, and we definitely saw the dynamic of HQ directives coming down to us and not always making sense. So we believe in a centralization of culture and decentralization of operations, meaning that we try to lead through values. We want to make sure that we find teams that resonate to our values. And if we have that, and when I say values, I mean it seeps into strategy, because I do believe that the strategy has to complement these values and has to enrich itself from it. And if we find teams that are on the same ideological wavelength as we are, then it's really easy for us to align, even if we have maintained autonomy in terms of how we operate in each of our locations. So I think that's our secret sauce.
Thank you, Mihai. What about you, Anton? You also did a lot of acquisitions in the past, and you announced also, I think, that you aiming 5 new acquisitions. And my favorite sentence: "You are on mute."
Yes. Yeah, we did 3 acquisitions last year, and last week we announced acquisition of Traffic Puzzle. In that latest Traffic Puzzle acquisition, we acquired the game. We didn't acquire the whole company. So I think there's acquisitions of different flavor. If we think of what we are looking for when we look for kind of a growth via M&A, you always seek for synergies. So you would like to see strong synergies with what we would be acquiring, and there's a lot to consider. So Seb talked about these kind of cultural value point of view, that is it culturally a good match with the company. Then there's financial considerations, and often you have to think also the more short, mid, and long term aspects as well. And are you able to kind of have this type of alignment with this team or company you would be acquiring? And there's a lot to consider. For us, acquisitions is one way to grow our business, and I would say that it always boils down to kind of building relationships. And typically, you don't simply get married in the kind of first step. So you need to be dating a bit, building this relationship, and kind of building confidence and alignment between the parties. And then after you've done a bit of a dating and things are looking positive, maybe you can then do more success together by forming this much more closer relationship. And again, from a kind of a business point of view, there's different structures how to do that, and it's not that all of the acquisitions would be of the same sort.
Thank you, Anton. Probably I need to ask this question because we are living in other times we are living. So I'm just like curious how recent year, let's say, and the pandemic situation actually transform your company. What has changed because of the pandemic, and I know that like for the gaming industry actually it's quite nice because the revenue actually went up, but the companies actually transformed. So how does it look like for you guys? We can start from you, Anton.
Yeah, we've always because of our background, we've been having this global mindset from the start, and we've had when we bought the company back, we already had 3 locations at that time. So we've always, to some extent, been a distributed team, and from a very early on, we paid a lot of attention to how we communicate. How can you operate as a team of teams? And that's why I would say that the lockdowns and the pandemic wasn't that big of a deal for us, because we were already operating a lot online, and yet there were some quite challenging. How do you deal with some plus 500 people where the conditions are highly different in Tel Aviv, Poland, and in other places? And I think one concrete thing was that I would love to say that we've always been kind of a people-centric, like Seb said, that people and the team is the most kind of a crucial element in any business. But I think the pandemic helped us to put even more focus on the well-being of the team and on the people. So we started saying that people first, and we really started meaning it. And I would say that was one thing. And secondly, we had to be thinking a lot more that now when we are missing these offsites, and how do we actually stay synced and aligned and do all these things what we used to do by meeting physically. And I think when there's will, there's a way. So it wasn't kind of too problematic for us, because we've been very online centric organization from the start. And that's some thoughts from my side. Now you unmute.
Yeah, Piotr, you are on mute. Or the mic is just not working.
Yeah, something happened.
Yeah. Let me help you. So maybe I will just answer this. I think that what Anton said, we started suddenly being in distributed development, and we learned that actually it's possible, and it's in terms of the creativity and how people collaborate with each other. It doesn't change a lot. Suddenly the problem that you couldn't sometimes change developer seats because they were very much attached to a certain place in the building, stopped being so important. They are working from home. So they can be on meetings with everybody in different configuration. It doesn't really matter. So yeah, I think we learned a lot. I think that the world changed for good. I think that, and I feel that a lot of people are not going to come back to the office anytime soon. They kind of learn how to be still creative and efficient working from home. So we just need to embrace that. We need to support it through our back office and the technical capabilities that we are providing to our developers. And suddenly we also started to be a bit more understandable to the ideas that someone is working from a bit further than kind of 10 or 20 kilometers, right? Suddenly the distance stopped being the issue. So I think that this is changing the industry for good. So yeah, as I said, some people will never come back to the office. When I say never, I don't mean never, but like they will not be working on a daily basis from the office. But there are people that learn that they actually are a bit more efficient at the office because maybe they are not, they are living in a pretty small flat with wife and 3 kids, and they basically cannot be very efficient in this kind of situation, especially when kids stayed home and they had, remote learning as well. But bottom line is the industry changed, and we are going to see that even more in the coming future.
And for Amber,
That's not true.
Oh, Piotr, we can hear you again. That's awesome.
Super.
I'll assume that you want me to respond to the same question, so I'll go at it. When the pandemic hit, it obviously everyone was very surprised and concerned, like how are we going to operate successfully with a very large organization in many different locations. And to our surprise, the thing that emerged out of this experience is how is this idea of collective trust, that we were able to not skip a beat. And even though we were working from our respective homes for a very long time, our performance did not diminish. And this is truly something I did not expect to see. And it definitely validated the hybrid work model for us. We are certainly not going to come back to how we were working in the past. I expect that some of us will continue working from home. Others will come to the office on a regular basis, and even a few will want to return to a full-time, in office presence. One thing that I would say, though, is that we do believe in the concept of radical collocation when it comes to creative teams. So I do expect that our creative teams will spend most of their time together, and not just together in the same office, but together in the same area. Because when you are creating games, as we've mentioned before, that's a team process. You exchange ideas, you inspire each other, and that flow of ideas is frictionless in a physical setting, and it's a little bit more difficult to establish if you have to do a ton of Zoom calls, basically. So I do think that our studios will elect at the team level to spend more time together in a physical space. We will not mandate that. So that's one major change that has occurred from us. We want our people to have the freedom to choose their respective setting, whether they work from home or they work in the office. And our offices will become more interesting too as a result. I don't expect that we will not have an office. I think, again, that is required, but the office becomes more of a playground. It becomes a meeting place. We can configure it in more exciting ways as a result, and not with fixed desks, but with the flexible workstations that multiple people can access. And the office becomes a place where you come to be inspired, where you come to be educated and to interact with your peers. I find that development to be quite an innovation. It's ripe for innovation in many ways, in office design and in the way that we can communicate remotely as well.
Thank you, Mihai. I'm very much agree with you that the office space needs to be changed, and the approach to the office in general are going to be completely different in upcoming years. Gentlemen,
I just would like to sorry, but just for the sake of making this a bit more dynamic, I would like to kind of disagree with Anton on the creative team. I actually don't think that creative teams need to work together in physical location. I think that same creativity can be achieved through Zoom calls, as you said, or Google Meet calls. This is actually not something that is bothering us in AAA game development. I think there are other areas that I agree with the other stuff that the office space will change. We definitely will also have more like, spaces where people will meet in the feature teams and kind of hot desk areas that people can just come and sit wherever and work at the office if they wish or decide to do that. But I think there are some other teams that probably will have to work from the office more. Definitely it's QA. And the reason for that is purely because you are talking about, testing games that are huge. You are sending gigabytes of data on multiple times a day. You've got consoles that you need to be able to play together, especially if you are working on multiplayer games. So we learned actually that one thing that I think the whole industry is kind of suffering, and I'm talking about it from the experience of shipping our biggest game ever, Outriders, on the 1st of April, is that actually the whole process of testing is really difficult. It's really difficult with the remote environment. And this is nothing against people and QA testers. They were doing awesome, amazing job. But still, like this remote distributed testing was not helping, and we can see a lot of games that would come in a better shape if we would be working in a bit different environment. So this is kind of my take on this.
Yeah, I would say that think of the new people and the new people who are kind of joining the business and they're onboarding. So I think it's way more harder to kind of get to know people. So think of you would be a newcomer and you would come to the office, you would meet all these people, and it would be much more easier to have casual conversations. And via those conversations, you would be learning new things. So I think that's probably been harder now during the pandemic I didn't join a company, so I don't know, but I can certainly imagine how it's been harder for the people who have now joined companies to kind of really meet new people and make new friends. And I think the pandemic has done us in that sense a favor that we are more flexible, and it's not that the hybrid or fully remote or all at office would be best for all. It's not kind of a one size fits for all model, and I think all in all, world is probably more adaptable for different type of setups in the future, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I feel that we all are gonna agree that onboarding part is not as used to be before pandemic. Definitely, it's hard to bond with the people when you are a newcomer within the company. Gentlemen, thank you very much for this discussions. I feel that we get a lot of insights from you, and we almost found the recipe for success. So it's like hard work and a bit of luck. The people and the team are crucial, and the opportunities are there. You just need to set the direction and be resilient enough to get there. This is how I would wrap up this.
There's your $1 billion company right there.
Exactly. I'm gonna patent this recipe and maybe go public on NewConnect or Warsaw Stock Exchanges. I heard that's quite profitable. Once again, thank you very much for your time and for your insights. And I hope we're gonna meet very soon, face to face, in person. Yeah. Have a nice days, and bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.